Hello and welcome to Elecspo, and today we're talking about FIFA cover stars. Over the years, the cover of our favourite games has been dominated by Ronaldinho, Wayne Rooney, Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi. Like seriously, why was the cover just Ronaldinho and Rooney for years on end? Mix it up lads, come on! But there are some players out there you may not know or even remember gracing the cover of a game of FIFA in years gone by. I'm James from Elecspo and this is 9 players you didn't know were on the cover of FIFA. Number 1, Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Zlatan Ibrahimovic is a larger than life character and one of the biggest names of this generation. He's basically our Cantona. He struts around like he owns the place and he backs it up wherever he goes. It was great when he was in the Premier League, proving that like a fine wine he gets better with age. And of course, we'll never forget mending Ryan Shawcross's international career in a friendly when he scored that ridiculous overhead kick. But despite being such a big name in the world of football, he's only ever graced the cover of FIFA once, and it was actually back in the early 2000s. It was the first FIFA I ever had, FIFA 2002, and a young Zlatan Ibrahimovic was on the cover of the Swedish version of the game. Across the world, countries had different covers, and Sweden belonged to the Ajax man. To be honest, if they did a Sweden version of FIFA 21, it would still be Zlatan, wouldn't it? I mean, Seb Larsson's hardly cover material, is he? Even if he has got dreamy blue eyes that are deeper than the ocean. Just a quick one before we continue the video. If you're new to the channel, I'd absolutely love it if you could hit that subscribe button and the bell and make sure you never miss a video. If you like FIFA, Football Manager and just a bit of nice chat about the beautiful game, Elecspo is the place to be. Anyway, back to today's video. Number 2, Yoshida. When you think about who should be on the cover of the biggest football game on the planet, you don't really think of a limited Southampton centre back, but that's exactly what happened in late 2013. Yoshida's face was plastered on the front of the Japanese version of the game, alongside countryman Makoto Hasebe and Barcelona superstar Lionel Messi, back when he actually wanted to play for the Spanish Giants. Obviously Messi wasn't enough to sell the game to Japanese punters, they had to bring out the big guns and get Yoshida involved. A special UK version came out with just Yoshida on it, which I'm sure many Saints fans were desperate to get their hands on. Number 3, Pep Guardiola. Widely recognised as one of the greatest managers on the planet as soon as he burst onto the scene with Barcelona, he's been so successful on the touchline that you forget how good a player he was. But at Barcelona, Guardiola was a key player during the 90s, which eventually led to being on the Spanish cover of FIFA 2000. And this is back when he wasn't as rugged and handsome, so he must have been damn good. This was a time when each nation would have their own cover star, and England's was Sol Campbell, not long before he became a Judas to Spurs fans and headed to Arsenal. Meanwhile, Thailand's cover star was Kiatasuk Senamuang, who at the time was actually playing for Huddersfield Town. Okay, technically he never played a single minute, but at least he was there. Number 4, Dozy. I don't know what it is about the Americans, but they've always got to have one of their own on the cover of FIFA, or FIFA Soccer as it gets called. For God's sake, why'd you have to change everything? It's been the theme for years. There's always a major star like Messi, flanked by someone from the States, then someone from Mexico, and that's despite the fact that some of these players are absolutely naff. I mean, if they keep putting Christian Pulisic on the cover now, I'd understand, but on the cover of FIFA 08 it was Josie Altidore, or Dozy was known as by Sunderland fans. I mean, he was absolutely awful at times. I saw him play well once, and annoyingly it was against Newcastle. Sure, Altidore would score goals in the MLS, but so did Bradley Wright Phillips. Number 5, Freddy Ado. Remember what I was saying about Americans being on the cover? Well, we've got another, with an even more notorious name in Freddy Ado. He was meant to be the next big thing. He was going to take American football, no I'm not calling it soccer, to the moon and back. This was the USA's time. They had a star in their ranks. On FIFA 06, he was on the North American cover alongside all-time great Ronaldinho and Mexican hero Omar Bravo. He had the world at his feet. FIFA cover star, trials at Man United, nominated for the FIFA Pro Young Player of the Year, youngest player to score in the MLS. All this and he was still just 16 years old. Imagine being on the cover of FIFA at 16. How demoralising playing that game in your stinky bedroom surrounded by dirty clothes and crisps, throwing your controller because of some bullshit decision, all the while someone had the same age as on the bloody cover. Then again, it's 2020 now, and where's Freddy Ado? No one knows. He's probably sat in his room flinging his controller about because of some bullshit decision on FIFA. Number 6, Alex Morgan. We've got a hat trick of Americans, but this one is actually decent. The women's game has gone from strength to strength in recent years, but on the international stage the Americans are as dominant as ever. Sure, they've got Megan Rapinoe, who certainly ruffles a few feathers, but another star of the show is Alex Morgan. You know, the one that did the sip and the tea celebration against England at the World Cup, that caused loads of needless controversy. Well anyway, in 2015 she became one of the first of 3 women to feature on the cover of FIFA, with FIFA 16 being the first edition of the game to feature women's teams. Morgan featured on the cover of the US version, while Canada's version included Christine Sinclair and Australia's featured Steph Catley. Number 7. Jason McAteer. If you're on the cover of FIFA nowadays, you're normally a pretty big deal. But when the game was in its infancy, that wasn't really the case. The covers were a bit more basic, and on FIFA 96, the third edition of the game, you could see the glorious face of Jason McAteer, tussling for possession against Frank de Boer in a game between Ireland and Holland. I mean, it's incredible that FIFA's reached the heights it has, considering they turned to Jason McAteer of all people when they were looking to get the game off the ground. Number 8. Tim Cahill. Australia went All-American in 2009 and had one of their own on the cover of FIFA 10. No, they didn't plaster a kangaroo alongside Wayne Rooney, instead they went for another boxing enthusiast in the shape of Tim Cahill. I'm gonna guess that's the only time an Everton player is featured on the cover of FIFA, or they did hear it was a toss-up between Mbappe and Michael Keane for this year's edition. I guess if Australia had their own cover now, they'd just look to the stars of the A-League for inspiration. Can you imagine it? Adam Lafondra's happy little face on the cover of one of the biggest games in the world being sold in whatever Australia's version of HMV is. Number 9. Oxlade-Chamberlain. Okay, we're going to end the video with one that might be a bit more memorable, but I'll be honest, I forgot all about the year that Oxlade-Chamberlain was on the cover of FIFA. Nowadays you might be able to get away with it. He's a Premier League winner with Liverpool, an England regular, going out with a lass from the finest place on planet Earth, South Shields. He's got a lot going for him. But when FIFA 13 came out, Chamberlain wasn't really that big a name. He was on the English cover alongside Lionel Messi and Joe Hart back when he was actually a decent goalkeeper, but the Ox had only just finished his first season at Arsenal. Maybe the guys at EA were just banking on the fact he was going to be the next Theo Walcott, before they knew where Theo Walcott was going to go, of course. So those are 9 players you didn't know were once on the cover of FIFA. Let us know what you think in the comments down below. As always, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to Elecspo, and until next time, we'll see you around.